Welcome to the WWE Week in Review. Tonight, we've got a brand new co-host, guest co-host, listener of the show. Memphis Mark is going to join us to talk about everything that happened at Crown Jewel and SmackDown. So we've got that, and I've got a little announcement at the beginning of the show as well that I think you're going to like. So let's get everything started right now.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast Week in Review, our flagship show for this podcast. And tonight we've got, as I said at the top, a brand new co-host. Avid listener of the show, Memphis Mark, will be joining us in just a minute. But first, a couple of quick announcements. First, we won't be having an AEW Dynamite review show from Mimi this week. So if you would like to step up and have a quick, maybe 30-minute review or longer about AEW Dynamite, give your opinions and keep it PG, hey, send me an email. I know that it's Sunday and it's now been a little over 24 hours since AEW Dynamite aired, but definitely, if you're interested in kind of this one time only, but maybe more, depending on how things go, a role for AEW Dynamite. I'm not replacing Mimi. I'm just saying that, if things go well, perhaps we can talk about a different show, but we'll see. That said, if you are interested in such things, go ahead and email me, realwwepodcast@gmail.com. If you're like, hey, I'd love to be able to just have one show. That's an open spot right now. If not, there will be no AEW Dynamite review show this week, but Mimi will be back next week in full force. That said, also, the second announcement I have is that on the November 3rd episode of the Mailbag, November 3rd, not this coming week, but a week from this Wednesday, yes, back by popular demand, the show will be taken over. The Mailbag show will be taken over by none other than Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan. It was a big hit the last time that they took it over, and I expect nothing less this time. So they will be doing the email portion of our show. So anything that you write into us for next week, again, not this week, but a week from Wednesday, then go ahead and email us, and Mr. and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan will be doing and giving their responses to you live, and that'll be a lot of fun as it was the last time. Just an absolute blast listening to them, and they did an excellent job, and that's why we're bringing it back, and everyone else agreed. I mean, it was unanimous, critical acclaim, so absolutely next week. But I mean, for this week as well, send in your questions via email. I will be doing the voicemail portion still on that show, so you'll still get to hear my beautiful voice. Just in case you guys miss me and go through withdrawal as if you don't hear my voice enough, but Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan and Mrs. Casual Wrestling Fan will be doing the email portion for the November 3rd Mailbag show. So just wanted to give you those two announcements right off the top. But tonight we've got a brand new co-host here, Memphis Mark, and it's going to be a great time talking with him about everything going on in WWE. We're talking to an old school fan, right? And that's what's great about this. He is not your typical wrestling fan of 2021. He's got a lot of historical wrestling knowledge, and he has seen the product evolve. So you're going to get to learn a little bit about Mark. You're going to get to hear his opinions about the current product. This is going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that. And I'm really excited for it. But again, first, welcome everybody to the WWE Podcast Week in Review for October 24th, 2021. And we are now on the road to Survivor Series. And I don't want to say I'm not excited, but WWE has really just made this pay-per-view a despised pay-per-view by me, considering how they've structured the damn show of being a brand rivalry that is just manufactured from thin air, and everybody's supposed to have this loyalty to the color that they are assigned. It's very kindergarten, and it's the fans don't really care about the brand that the whole storyline is built around. They care about the stars. So the brand rivalry is really nothing. It means nothing, and there are no consequences. As we've seen year after year after year, there have been nothing. Nothing has happened. I mean, I remember when Shane McMahon got swept by Monday Night Raw. Stephanie McMahon was running Monday Night Raw. Shane was running SmackDown. I think it was like 4 years ago, maybe. Zero consequences. Nothing. Zero. I believe even Brock Lesnar F5 Shane McMahon on that show, and still nothing happened. Nothing came of it. We never got a match between Shane and Brock. There was no consequences. So if you think there are, even in the most extreme case of one brand sweeping the other, yeah, there are. There's a sum of zero consequences. Zero. Unless things change this year, of which I've not heard, nothing will, to me, really come of this. It's just a spectacle. It's an exhibition. And we just saw the damn brand split. So why are we putting back stars that were just on the same show? I don't know. This is, it's a gimmick that doesn't need to exist for Survivor Series, that should be able to hold its own on name value and history and lineage of what the Survivor Series has meant in years past, before all of this manufactured brand rivalry nonsense. So you're going to get to hear Mark and myself discuss Survivor Series as we head forward. Of course, what made him a fan, how long he's been watching wrestling, all that good stuff. So this is going to be a really fun show, a really different listen. So stay tuned for this. And again, tomorrow I'll be back with Anthony DeMarco doing another What If. Tuesday is your Monday Night Raw review. Wednesday is your mailbag. And then Thursday, I believe, isn't Dynamite on Thursday or Wednesday this week? Somebody will have to recycle my brain. But AEW Dynamite put on this weird schedule of like a Friday and then a Saturday, and then it screwed with Mimi's schedule. So I think they're back on track this week. So I have to check on that. But anyway, thank you everybody for listening. If you like our show or love it, give us a 5-star rating. Even if you hate it, give us a 5-star rating because you're a nice person. And you can also subscribe to us on Patreon if you want an ad-free experience. Some of you have done that over the last week or so to get on board with just getting rid of those pesky ads. You can do that for $1 a month. Or if you just want to use the native Apple Podcast app, you can do that too. And it's right there. There's a page that says right at the top on our home screen, get rid of the ads. You want those pesky ads gone? Click here and you get not only $2.99 a month, but before that, you get 7 days free. 7 days to explore our entire library with no ads. And you get to learn what you've been missing this whole time. So if you don't want ads at all, go to Apple Podcasts and get 7 days free, or you can go to Patreon. So there's my plug for that. Let's move into Mark and myself as we talk about wrestling. Right now, we'll talk about the past. We'll talk about the future. It's the Week in Review, guys. I'm ready. Are you? Let's do it. I'll talk to you next time. All right, everybody. Welcome to the WWE Week in Review. Tonight is a very special night because we've got a new voice on the show. Memphis Mark comes to us, avid listener of the show, a great guy. You know, we've been talking over the last couple of days, and I'm really excited to bring on Mark. And I just want to introduce him to you right now as we're going to go into the Week in Review. We're going to have a really fun time talking about the product, of course, with Crown Jewel, some of the fallout from that. We're going to be going into SmackDown and not really touching on Raw, guys, just because Monday Night Raw was before Crown Jewel, and Crown Jewel is really the turning point. So we're not going to touch too much on Monday Night Raw, just a heads up there. But before we get everything going, guys, Memphis Mark, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, guys. I hope everybody's doing well there.
Yeah, we're doing well here. Hopefully my toddler stays asleep tonight. It was just one of those nights where baby's up, toddler's up. And so if anybody hears any crying in the background, just ignore it. But that said,
or it could be me.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be you. But before we get going, man, I want to introduce you to our listeners and give them a little bit of a background about you and how you ended up in this co-host chair, so to speak. And obviously we connected on Twitter, but a little bit of background on you as a wrestling fan. How did you and when did you become a wrestling fan?
Well, I actually grew up in a family that every Saturday morning it was you ate hamburgers with the family and you sat around the TV and you watched Memphis wrestling that came on. And that was a ritual. And then years later, as my teenage years, I got to actually sell programs at where the mecca of Memphis wrestling back in the day was called the Mid-South Coliseum. it would seat about 11,000 people, and it sold out quite a few times, where a teenager like myself, 14 years old, could make $75 to $100 in cash selling programs. So it's pretty good back in the day. But other than that, being in the nightclub restaurant business, knowing the wrestlers when they coming in, taking care of some of the guys, stories I could go on. But let's talk about what's going on in the WWE.
Yeah, let's get into it. I mean, there is a lot going on. We have a lot going on in WWE, and we are on the road to Survivor Series. Love it or hate it, that's where we're at. And it's kind of interesting too. Now I want to get into the product in a second, but do you look at Survivor Series and say to yourself, this is kind of the unofficial beginning to WrestleMania? Or do you not even look at WrestleMania until the Royal Rumble time frame? When do you start to kind of peek your head in and look at WrestleMania and look at maybe where they're starting to line things up?
Well, back in the older days, you would set these up with your pay-per-views for the story going on down the road. And that's the way this originally was cast when it first started out as a pay-per-view. But now the WWE has kind of not really watered it down, but the story can change after here. So it kind of it's a good pay-per-view. I mean, it's a good chance to see some good talent, but it just doesn't carry the same weight that it used to, in my eyes, in my humble opinion.
Do you enjoy the whole brand versus brand manufactured rivalry, as I feel like it is every year? Or would you rather have it be what it used to be, with just the traditional 5-on-5 elimination tag match that would take place? How do you feel about this somewhat of an exhibition pay-per-view of having Raw and SmackDown stars go after one another, really for no gain? I mean, I don't see any consequence of whoever wins and whoever loses. It seems as if it's just bragging rights and we move on.
Well, I mean, as I said, with not having the same weight that it used to, and you're not carrying the story on to something, back in the older days when you just had the traditional, it just seemed a little stronger and it meant something. But they've had to build their own competition. For so long, they didn't have any competition, so they had to create their own. And I think with NXT kind of coming on, is like some people are even looking at that as like a better product than one of the other shows. So that can create its own problems. But the brand against brand, maybe it's because I'm old, and I'm more of a traditional. But I'd rather see it go back to its original format.
Yeah, I would too. It feels too gimmicky, and Survivor Series should be able to stand on its own two legs, but just based on the lineage that it has and the history, to me, Survivor Series would be just fine without creating a gimmick. To me, a gimmick actually takes away from what Survivor Series used to mean. But it seems like you and I are on that same wavelength there. But let's before we get to SmackDown this week, let's talk about Crown Jewel a little bit. Obviously, we haven't spoken about Crown Jewel, or at least I haven't heard your thoughts. You've heard mine, but Crown Jewel as a whole, how did you view the pay-per-view? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle? Where would you rate this pay-per-view?
I would have to say thumb between middle and up, because I have actually flown, not to Dubai, but I have flown somewhat that distance, and I did not have to perform to a high level. I did not have to do interviews and be polite to people that I didn't understand in some cases, and it would be a totally different world to go. I've traveled a lot, but to go in that area of the country or that area of the world is different, and it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful from what I've seen. But to travel that far, perform, I think they did really good. I was a little, some of the things are a little different, but it is what it is. I think overall everybody did pretty good. They even made Goldberg look halfway, so there we go from there.
It's funny you mentioned Goldberg. That I did say that in my review that this might have been Goldberg's best match in WWE since he returned. And they really, I think, took everything that didn't work with SummerSlam with Bobby Lashley and himself and hid the weaknesses of Goldberg to the best of their ability. And they did make Goldberg look halfway decent in a match that he has a limited moveset of jackhammer spear. That's essentially the breadth of his arsenal. And beyond that, though, I got to ask, what did you think about the Hell in a Cell match between Edge and Seth Rollins?
Well, that is always going to be a good match. You could put them in a parking lot. You could put them in any setting, and I think they would put on a plus match. I do think, they're going to have to go back to the travel and everything. It's really hard to put on something like they did. Seth is, to me, probably going to be better than Shawn Michaels back in the day. If he continues on, he's not there yet, but I think he can be. But he's up there, and Edge is Edge. So, but the match I thought was really good. I was really disappointed, not only in this match, but in all the matches, the time in ring. I just come from watching some other matches, and I watch a lot of older wrestling, and there's a lot of 30-minute, 1 hour Iron Man marathon matches in my day. I don't think all the wrestling and all the matches together added up to 45 minutes in ring. So I was a little disappointed that way.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And especially if you're looking at it through the lens of watching an older show, the focus was more on in-ring back then. It wasn't so much of the flashy entertainment stuff that it is now, and the video packages and the mic stuff and all of the sideshow things that really lead into inside the ring. And it's just a completely different product now, even than it was just say 15, 20 years ago. It feels different. And especially from the time frame that you're looking back at it as, it's a completely different time. And, today I couldn't imagine WWE doing like a 60-minute Broadway, meaning like ends in a draw. I know you know that, but for those that may not know, that's what they called a 60-minute tie or draw was a Broadway back in those days. And I couldn't imagine.
Big deal.
Yeah, huge deal. And today's audience, I don't think, has the patience for it, nor do I think WWE believes they have the confidence in whatever rivalry they're putting together to have a 60-minute draw or even a victor and somebody losing that match. So, yeah, it's a totally different product, and that's what's great. That's why I was so excited about bringing you on, because you have this knowledge of watching back in the 70s, right? 70s and 80s is the time frame?
Yeah, absolutely, the early 70s. But can I add one quick point?
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it would be to do a 60-minute match with two people that have to sell their face? Like literally sell their face. They can't get busted open. They can't get, and of course, WWE is handcuffed a lot of good wrestlers. I think there's some people on the roster that would do a good 60-minute match, but they're handcuffed and they're not going to let them show a little bit of that ketchup, a little bit of that blood. And I'm sorry, I miss that. I miss it. I'm sorry. Go.
No, I'm right there with you with the blood, and people sometimes kind of look down upon that kind of thing. Even Vince McMahon stuck his nose in the air about AEW, calling them the blood and guts company. And I'm thinking that's what this genre was built on.
Absolutely.
That's the foundation of this business. That's how you made billions of dollars in the late 90s, early 2000s, was being that product. So for him to talk about AEW that way a number of months ago was a bit hypocritical, to say the very least. And, but nonetheless, I miss that blood. I do. And I understand why it's PG. Apparently blood is not captured in PG. And when it happens accidentally, you see the camera shy away from it. You see the talent in the ring put their face or whatever part of their body it has blood on it away from the hard cam. They do everything they can to hide it. And I'm like, no, that's a gift. That's a gift from the wrestling gods. Just embrace it. But I know they can't. They have sponsors. It's a PG product. All these things, all this red tape they have to go through, and stakeholders and shareholders that they have to adhere to now. I understand why they don't. But man, especially in this match with Edge and and Seth Rollins, when you don't have blood at all and you have this metal structure, this 2-ton metal structure that you can use as a weapon, it's nothing more than a match that they have. It's essentially a street fight with a cage around it. It's not used properly. It's not used in the way that it was intended. And I know blood is something that some people don't feel is necessary, but you don't remember how much drama it adds to matches when you do it. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And look, I could go back on old stories of the old guys that I know, and maybe one day I can send you enough emails in to where you could put together a show of something like that with some of your talented people that you have. But leaving that era or trying to discredit or forget where you came from, you're damned to repeat it. So if Peacock or somebody was to do something big and buy, you just never know. Just never know. But we'll see. But Crown Jewel, they pulled it off, and to get back the next day and perform.
Yeah.
Kansas
City. Like, they didn't even go to the coast. I mean, they went to like the middle of the country. I mean, that had to have been a 20-hour flight from Saudi Arabia to there. Like, I have so much respect for everybody, not just the talent, but the crew. People forget about the ring crew, the production, the writers, everybody that had to take that flight from Saudi Arabia after busting their backs all day to take that flight right back. It's just, I mean, they must have done like a U-turn. They get off. They do their match, they get out, they all just U-turn right back to the airport to get back in time. Like, I have so much respect for everyone that had to make that trip.
I had a friend that I won't mention his name that's passed away, that was a great wrestler here local that actually worked for the WWE, and he did I think the first show, but he literally said that there were people setting stuff up. Once that was set up, they were getting on a plane and leaving, and there were other people that came in and, like, if you set up the booms or the scaffolding or whatever it was in the stage or the ring or whatever it was, you set that in, you got on a plane and already headed back. So just the logistics of someone trying to book that together is amazing. And you won't believe actually what's happening. I don't want to go live, but there is actually a fox that just came up to my back door.
Oh no.
My dog's staring at it, and I think it sees the WWE logo, and it's kind of trying to shine it on my show. I wish this was live, because literally there is a fox at my back door.
Oh no! Your dogs are right there. Are they face to face in the glass?
They're wagging their tail. This is amazing. I have rescue dogs, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to get off.
That's all right. That's all right.
But yes, they are. It's unfreaking believable.
Is this common? I mean,
No. I've only lived here about 8 months, but I mean, I have a lake behind my place, and I know I have deer come through, but I'm from Memphis, man. We don't.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Memphis is not like foxes don't come to mind when I hear Memphis, right? So it's just not synonymous with Memphis.
Yeah, raccoons.
Yeah.
Awesome. Whatever you see.
Jerry the King Lawler,
not
yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right. Well,
Okay.
keep us all updated.
Sorry.
No. Now we're all wondering if the dog, if someone breaks in, if the glass breaks and there's a fight.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right, let's continue on here.
Yes.
So some of the other things that happened at Crown Jewel, the main event I want to ask you about, right? I need to ask you about Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Obviously, we all know the outcome now of Brock Lesnar losing via Roman Reigns using the championship belt to clock him in the head, but Paul Heyman being the wild card, throwing the championship in the middle of the ring, leaving it up to speculate whose side he's really on. First of all, did you enjoy the match? And what did you think about the finish?
Oh, now you let me dig into something that's got a little meat and gravy to it. This comes from old school writing. This is Paul Heyman. This is, is he going with who's he? That's where he left the crowd. Now you have something to work towards the next week. This is old school. If you forget it, you're damned to repeat it. This is what they're doing, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Paul Heyman plays it out to the T.
And Paul Heyman is a genius. This storyline feels different than everything else that is on WWE right now. Every single storyline feels different other than this. And yes, you have an otherworldly talent right now of Roman Reigns in the heel role that just fits him perfectly, going on an 18-month tear now, nearly. He's working with talent like John Cena. You work with Finn Balor. You work with Kevin Owens for many months. He now has defeated Brock Lesnar, and that's not over. That will eventually be revisited. So, of course, the talent and the star power is there, but the brains behind this story, like you said, feels like it does feel old school. And I say old school, I'm 36. So, like, old school to me is, mid 90s. Like, so it's all perspective, of course.
No, but when you watch, you got to watch it on video, and like I missed a lot of mine not being on video. You got to at least see a lot of the 80s. And all that. So you understand exactly where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and it doesn't, it's amazing when you don't have to overthink a story, how easily it's followed, but yet it can be so good. And there's so many times that WWE almost overwrites something when it doesn't need to be so damn complicated. And as long as there's a direction that you're going, it's easy television. Not that you need to insult the intelligence of your fans, but when it's just easily understandable and you don't need to sit and think too hard, it's entertainment. We're not here to solve a math equation. We shouldn't have to be, but it does lead you to believe, or at least think about, hey, well, where is Paul Heyman's loyalty? Where does it lie? That's the interesting part, but at the same time, Paul can't have a match, so it's not going to end in a match with Paul Heyman versus anybody. We know that. It just comes down to, where do his loyalties lie? Why does that matter? It's interesting, because if Paul ends up being with Brock, does that turn Roman babyface? Does it not turn? Like, there's so many different things going on, and I'm here for the long term. I hope, and maybe you're of the same belief, that this does not just get answered right away. I hope this gets stretched out for months, maybe even all the way to WrestleMania. I'll be okay with that. Do you think they're in this one for the long term?
Well, like you said, that the story shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't be too complicated, and they shouldn't insult our intelligence. As a great songwriter once said, you should be able to just turn the page. And that's what it should feel like. You should be able to just turn the page each week. It's like you're reading another chapter. And you like it because you want to reach and for that page again. And that's what they're doing. And yeah, they could really ride this as long as they want. If the right writers are behind them right now, I think that they could ride this all the way. Look what they've done with Roman for, what is it, 18 months?
Since last August. Yeah.
And I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I started off skeptical. Hey, look, I threw stones at a glass house and it broke my window. So now I'm replacing my window and I'm saying, okay, I'm happy with it.
Well, don't do that now. You'll let the fox in. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. You see, he's getting more airtime than me, man. I'm telling you, he's got to be somewhere around there, still standing there looking out.
I'm totally with you. And this is the best thing that WWE has had for a while. And the amazing thing about this storyline is that they almost haven't missed a beat. It's not, I don't remember 1 week of this storyline in however many weeks of television that is, over a year of television straight, in which I go, that doesn't make sense. That's kind of dumb. I have not had a week like that yet. It's absolutely amazing of just the consistency of this story every single week. That just makes sense. Now, has every little thing, if I want to dive in? No, but I don't want to do that and ruin the story. Most of it has been easy to understand. Any flaws that have happened have been just completely on the side and out of my mind. It's not the focal point. It's been great all the way around. And this match between Brock and Roman that happened at Crown Jewel, I thought it did feel old school. Old school is a great way to put it, not just on the finish, but also the hard-hitting believability, right? Like, believability is something that is just, it's a key factor in success of this sports genre, is believability and emotional investment. I say it all the time. But with Brock and Roman, you had that immediately. Brock Lesnar is one of those believable, badass guys that you have ever seen. And he's got it. He's got the real credentials. He's got him right. There's nothing fake about Brock Lesnar because he is a proven athlete. And Roman Reigns is, in his own right, a proven commodity who is a legitimate tough guy. and you have two guys going at it, there's no bigger matchup that they could have put on for Crown Jewel. And I think these two delivered.
I can totally agree. I wish I could disagree and argue with you and we could get in an argument right here, but I have to say I agree. Heyman, though, I believe has had a little hand in this 18-month run. And I think that's where the writing goes into it. If you go back to a lot of them, and this is another time I'd love to talk to you about this, but if you go back and you really look at if you took the 18 months and broke it down, a lot of those stories you could probably find in the Midwest, the Mid-Atlantic, the Pacific, or even down here in Memphis wrestling, where we did something similar. And that's all a lot of these stories are. They're stealing and making it modern. They're taking what was
old
done,
is new again, right?
That's it.
Yep.
I'm still waiting for the great Tupelo concession brawl. What better place in New York to have like something like that go on to where they just tear it all up and do all that? I mean, for some of the people that don't know this, I'm sure you can go back and look at this, but the Tupelo concession brawl, I can't remember, it was in the 80s, but it was fantastic. And the way they did the camera, it looked realistic. And that's what I think they've done with Roman. They have made his little runs, his little deals, realistic. Like he's a legitimate badass. I mean, excuse my language, but he is. And Brock,
the alpha male of our species. There's never been a more true statement. Yeah.
And look, when Roman made the statement about, I'm not sure if you know about this, about CM Punk being soaking wet 200 pounds and lost his first UFC fight, he didn't say that about Brock.
That's true. Yeah. And he did it with diverticulitis, right? I mean, that's the guy is a machine. And even though he hasn't stepped in the ring since last year's WrestleMania 36, the cricket WrestleMania, he has still maintained, for the most part, his body. He has, he grew a ponytail.
Don't you think he slimmed down a little bit? Yeah,
he slimmed down a little bit. His muscle mass has decreased, but that's kind of to be expected, given that the fact that he's now, as far as I know, he's not competing in any kind of combat sports, and he's not in WWE, and he's getting older. As stars get older, even in the case of Brock Lesnar, the muscle mass will decrease, and sometimes that's by design because they don't have the joint support that they used to, and you want to slim down to lengthen your career. Triple H did it. I think Sting obviously did it. So you have guys that just slim down on purpose, or in this case, maybe it's just because Brock has been sitting on his farm and doing whatever heck Brock Lesnar does. Whatever, as he said, Brock Lesnar does whatever Brock Lesnar wants to do, and that's a true statement.
Well, if you've ever seen any of his training videos, the guy has a custom cut log. When I say a log, like cut down a tree 12 feet long, put some handles in it, and he carries it on his shoulder and he walks for miles.
Oh my God.
That alone, and as if somebody that I carried a 320-pound frame. I used to have a job that we got paid $50 more a week if we stayed over 300 pounds. And so I carried that weight around for years. You're absolutely right. I'm at 260 now. The difference on your back and on your knees and on your ankles, and of course, I'm not jumping off of a rope. I'm not jumping off of onto a table like these guys are. I never could. So it's amazing that some of the older guys have adapted, like Triple H, like you say, and with Brock to be slimmed down. I still don't want to run into him in a dark alley.
Nope. No, I don't care if Brock Lesnar's in a wheelchair. I would not want to run. I'm like, nope.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
Nope.
You're probably right.
Brock Lesnar is one dude, and he legitimately doesn't like people. It's not a character. That's what's great about his character is he's not playing a character. He's just Brock Lesnar. who just does whatever the hell he wants to do. And that's what makes him not only authentic, but it creates a connection with the audience because they know that that's who he really is. He doesn't like people. He's got a 12-foot vinyl fence around his home. Like, he does not want to see or be around people, which is kind of ironic given his job. But he says it's easy to be in a stadium, but he doesn't want to be outside of a stadium full of people where he actually has to one-on-one interact. Like, he hates that. So I would never approach Brock Lesnar if I saw him in an airport. Like, I would not want to I mean, that's who he is. And that's, to me, hilarious and scary at the same time. So, yeah.
Undertaker's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I've driven Undertaker. Well, I've had friends that have driven him and Randy Orton, and they're not real social.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think those are the type of people that you want to, poke with a stick.
No, I believe that there is, as great as a performer as Undertaker was, and to me the documentary they did on WWE Network of The Last Ride was, oh my God, one of the most revealing and I think best documentaries WWE has ever put out. If you haven't seen The Last Ride, go watch it. It is just
his
so.
First match, His first match was at Channel 5 Wrestling in Memphis, Tennessee on Union Avenue. He went in, was driving a Toyota Celica, a Datsun, whatever the little Datsun car was, and it had cardboard on one window. I kid you not. Wow. You can go back and check some of his own. That is the truth. That man went from there to what he is now. And congrats. Can't hate on a man like that.
No, arguably the greatest of all time. I know that other people, Stone Cold. I mean, Stone Cold's my favorite, but Undertaker is, he has outlasted them all. If you talk about longevity and maybe the best gimmick of all time, Undertaker is right at the top. I mean, no doubt. So, all right. Well, let's continue on here. I'm not going to go through every match on Crown Jewel, but just kind of the big things I want to talk to you about. Two more things. The championship match, Big E versus Drew McIntyre. This match, I thought the match was really good. I had no issue with the match. I didn't think the quality of the match would be the problem. It's just the fact of Big E as champion. To me, that's the problem with his current gimmick. No problem with the man himself. I've said this again, but I want to reiterate. I don't have any disrespect for him as a performer. I think that he has been a guy that you can count on. He doesn't get the company in trouble with any PR issues. He looks good. From everything I understand, he's actually the strongest guy in terms of like bench press in the company. He's got everything that Vince would want in a performer. That said, his gimmick to me is what kills it dead. It's like grown up men acting like children every single week. That it's intolerable watching that group. Many people disagree with me, and that's cool. It's just, you like what you like, I like what I like. But that's the whole problem that I have as far as Big E goes. But the match itself, I had no problem with. Drew losing makes total sense, very predictable, but they had I think a very high quality match. What did you think?
Well, I'm right. There again, this sucks. There, I'm right with you.
Sorry
on the Big E, but since Big E, you're right. The flashy, and I grew up in the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express and all these flashy with the sequence and all this, and where that generated, that's where it all comes from, is that flash. But I want to visualize, since Big E does the flashy, that I want you to visualize this now. I have a 12-foot tall straw, like a drinking straw. And that's what I want to say to Big E. This is my last straw. I can't take this anymore. I just can't take this anymore, man. He is definitely. Have you heard his public service announcements? He is spot on. He's great. And I'm sure if the way he's built, there's not a doubt in my mind that bench press is probably one of his fortes.
Yes.
But come on. I mean, let him get. What you do is you have you put together a little faction. You have them beat the daylights out of them, put him up. Then Kofi turns on. I mean, the other two. I'm not even gonna go into that. But let them fight themselves out and have their own little rival, which I think would be great for the crown. And but Big E, you can bring him back as somebody that's got an attitude. Or something like that. something they should have done and I hate to bring up though, but the first black champion ever was Ron Simmons. They never used him to his ability. But he had an attitude. They brought him back later with I can't think of the tag team off the top of my head, but they brought him back where they had attitude and they had, he could do that. He could pull that off. I saw him on the sidelines of the football game a couple weeks ago. Man, he was tearing it up. It was great. But I just don't want to see his hips swivel anymore. I just, and hey, if the ladies want to, then that's great. I'm nothing wrong with it. I was in the business for years of selling whatever they want. But I think they've ridden this donkey as far as it can go, and they need to just take it on out to pasture and let it feed.
Yeah, this is to me, I don't know. I just don't understand how there's been no evolution of this character. I mean, little to none. He's shown some flashes of being serious. The lead up to WrestleMania against Apollo Crews, I think I was like, okay, cool, they're about to turn him, or at least into a more serious character. That I was like, okay, cool. Like we're on the road, and that never happened. That never materialized. Every chance WWE got, they would reunite the New Day, and then it's back to and into that whole thing. Every time I just see a little bit of progress, they regress it 4 steps, and it's just so discouraging because I know that there's a different character inside of him that I think would be way more successful than feeding off of the old New Day chants, talking about the power of positivity, swiveling his hips, making gyrations. They are shooting themselves in the foot by keeping him in place. But the problem is, while you and I see this and you and I don't like it at all, the problem is that most of the fans in attendance are cheering for this. So unfortunately, it's validating what WWE is doing. It's not that the fans are organically turning on it or anything. I don't know why fans are still cheering for this. I have no idea. I don't know if WWE is paying them at the door saying, hey, we'll pay $20, just cheer for Big E when he comes out. Cheer, I don't know. There's got to be some explanation. The fans are the problem here. As much as WWE creative is, I actually blame the fans. And again, you cheer for whoever you want. I mean, that's what wrestling is. But I just feel like the fans are as much to blame as creative because they continue to support this New Day gimmick.
Well, you ask and you get what you ask for sometimes, and that's what they're doing. They're just feeding the machine, and I'm sure the T-shirt sales have to be in a level somewhere that for them to carry this on. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. But this character, I mean, he could be so much better. I could think of 100 things that they could do with him. But, it's what we're going to be force-fed. That's it.
Yep. I don't see any change in his character as WWE champion for whenever, even if he loses the championship like in a month, which he won't. I think he'll carry it maybe all the way to WrestleMania and maybe lose it there. But I don't see any change in his character because I think they're too afraid to fix something that's not broke in their minds. But to me, it's been broken for many, many years. I don't need to see these grown men acting like children every week to appeal to an audience of preschoolers, which is what I feel like I'm watching. I feel like I'm watching one of my kids shows. Like, I mean, I watch kids shows a lot during the day. Obviously I have a toddler, so it's like I feel like I'm watching that, and I'm like, no, I want to watch wrestling. And anyway, all right, let's talk about what's that?
No Nickelodeon.
No. Exactly. Nickelodeon. That's what I feel like I'm watching, like Nick Jr. or something. But anyway. One final thing I want to ask you about with the pay-per-view, and again, we'll get to the King of the Ring stuff, we'll get to the Queen's Crown, but I want to talk more about that on the SmackDown side. So one last thing on Crown Jewel. The SmackDown Women's Championship, Becky Lynch, Bianca, and Sasha Banks. I got to ask you 2 things. 1, how do you feel about the attire of the women? And 2, what about the match and the finish?
Well, I mean, I definitely want to say that I want everything I say is respectful, but I just wonder what it's like when you're used to your ring gear. Now, let's take all the politics, let's take all this other crap out of it. You're used to going to work every day and putting on the same safety equipment, or going to do getting in the same car, the same thing every time. You're comfortable with that, and you're doing a dangerous job. And whether people admit to this, jumping off a top rope onto another human being, that trusting them that all the physics and all the angles are going to work out for you to be caught, doesn't always work. I've seen it when it didn't. So I applaud these ladies for their athleticism and everything they do, but to have to put on Lita from back in the days clothes when they told her to tone it down, she at least had pants and something which she rocked. But I just wonder what it was like for them to perform in that, and how cumbersome that was on them, and you know what I mean? Did you understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah, no, it's a great point to bring up, because I've heard so many different podcasts talk about the political part of this, and yeah, that's an element, but I mean, we're not going there just because it's a dangerous, slippery slope nowadays. But the performance end of this, that's a great way to look at this, because yes, they are wearing things that are much more conservative, and it is what it is in the culture there. But looking at it through the perspective of being able to work at a very high level, like they didn't skip a beat and they just have their normal attire on, that is impressive.
Tore it up. Yes, absolutely. But as I said, I dare somebody to go out, if they go walking every day. Say you go walking every day, put an extra layer of clothing that doesn't quite fit on and go do that same thing. Yes, you'll do it. But how enjoyable and how much are you thinking about that in your head? Which, look, man, you can't, one wrong move and you could hurt somebody in that ring. So, as I said, I have seen this before. And when people were put in positions, I've seen a guy wear a mask before that had never worn a mask. He about broke his neck on a Saturday morning taping. So, these things can happen. So, yeah, that's my question. Politics, all other crap, hey, that's for people a lot smarter than me. But I'm just, we're talking about one specific area there, and I just don't see how that could be very comfortable for you to do.
No, it can't. And again, I give all the credit in the world to these women, because I thought this match was very well done. I mean, it started out a little slow, I think, but the chain wrestling to me in this match, it wasn't just punch, kick, power move, finish, kick out. It was very much a nice build from an in-ring psychology perspective to get to that finish. And once they started trying to perform the finishers, the KOD, the disarmor, the bank statement, all that, it made sense, and we were ready for that. So I think the women did a really nice job. The chain wrestling in this, to me, was what really stood out, because all three women are, to me, some of the best WWE has. Bianca is their rising star. Probably the best NXT call-up they've ever had, ever. But how did you feel about the outcome of Becky Lynch using the rope? Now, they said, it's a triple threat, so it's okay that she does this, which I still don't understand why triple threats are all by default no DQ. It doesn't make sense to me. But going for that narrative, Becky Lynch as the heel, again, heel I say in quotes because she's not really getting booed out of the building, but she used the ropes to get a unfair advantage to pin Sasha Banks to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. What did you think, Mark, about the quality of the match? We already talked about the attire, the quality of the match, and also the finish of Becky using the rope to gain the victory.
Okay, first of all, shout out Bianca, Tennessee homegirl. Got to say that. I'm just throw that out there. But you're talking about three of the best females, in Charlotte, of course, would be the fourth. But three of the best girls working, and Sasha has turned into that great little rat-like character that just sneaks in and runs in and backstab, boom, pin. That little quick little, and they're trying so hard to make Becky a heel. They're trying. It just ain't going to work. Mm-hmm. Look, every woman in that arena that's had a kid in the last year is looking at her going, damn it, I can do that. Look, she got back in there. Man, no, you do not. You cannot make a woman that just had a baby a heel. She has too much of a glow. She has too much of everything. Just can't do it. They should have waited, let her go through a good little run, and then have somebody do her wrong and then her turn on them. But to have her come back and try to act like Seth Rollins in a woman's way. I don't. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And Bianca picking up two women and doing a squat exercise, that's hard to make somewhat realistic, if you know what I mean. But if you've ever been picked up over your head, it is not a great feeling. And that weightless and the unknowing of whether you're going to fall this way or that way could stun you for a second. So to me, just looking at this as a wrestling fan, I could see him being stunned. And when the other person's on it, what the heck? And then I think it looked good. And the finishing move, I think we need full disclosure on the rules of a triple threat match, because they seem to sometimes change from region to region. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
Well, the triple threat, I mean, nobody has come up with a logical reason why adding a third person to the match automatically means there's no rules. I don't get that. Like, WWE just says, well, by triple threat rules, there's no DQ. Why? Right? Like, it's easy. It's easy to solve the problem, right? If it's a no DQ or not a no DQ match, it's just a standard match with normal rules. The person, say, uses a chair, that person's disqualified, and now it's a one-on-one. Easy, simple. Why does it need to be? I don't know why they need to add the no DQ. Yeah.
Preach. No, preach. You can't. I can't add anything to that. You're going. Just keep going.
No,
it's freaking right.
And it tortures me because there's no good logical reason for it other than just to add another element of oh my God, it's triple threat. But here's the problem: we've seen millions of triple threats over the years. I mean, it doesn't feel special anymore. It's overused. And the fact that they're adding no DQ to it just, to me, doesn't do anything other than actually detract from it, because it doesn't make triple threat any more special to have no DQ because there's so many no DQ matches anyway. But I don't know. I'm over the whole fact of triple threats being no DQ. It is what it is. Me screaming about it's not going to do anything. It's going to remain. But the other thing is how they need to just incessantly tell us about what a triple threat what the rules are, meaning, the champion doesn't need to be involved in the decision. You know that, right? It's that to me is insulting intelligence. I mean, that, if you want to talk about when WWE insults the intelligence of fans, if you don't know what the rules or how a triple threat disadvantages a champion at this point, you haven't been watching wrestling for more than a few days. I mean, I don't know why. And it's not that they mention it once. They mention it every chance they get about what a triple threat means for a champion. But I digress.
Well, you could almost do an over and under. Seriously, you could almost do an over and under and go, they're going to mention it 5 times before the second commercial break. And boom. I'd be willing. Vegas might take that bet.
Yeah, they might. They very well might. That is one. I mean, I've said they should do over-unders for mentioning that, saying the words message or statement. They need to just pick up a thesaurus and figure out a way to not say those phrases, because and mind games. Everything's a mind game. Everything's a statement. Everything. Just like, no. There's other words in the English language you guys can use. I don't know what it is. Is there some kind of corporate quota that they need to meet every single time? I don't know.
There's a handbook. They go by a handbook.
They've got it. The thing is, everybody speaks the same. Like, even Pat McAfee, or I love Pat McAfee. I don't know what you think about him. I was annoyed by him at first, but he brings such an energy and a freshness to the product that Michael Cole.
I agree, but hey, look, he does need to cool off on the coffee or whatever, the frappuccino, or somewhat a little bit. I totally agree, but I think this last week, yeah, I'm okay with him up on the doing the guitar with Rick Boogs, but I mean, just calm down on the coffee. And I'm sorry, I had to bring that out there. Yeah, and can I make one other public service announcement real quick? Please, everyone, get rid of the 24/7 belt. Get rid of the 24/7 belt. That's all I'm going to say. Never mind. Go ahead.
Well, that's a whole other thing, too. Luckily, I mean, I watched the Hulu version, as we all know, and some of you do, too. It has not been on the Hulu version of Raw in like 6 months. So That is, I've luckily been spared of having to forced to be watching that whole section of Raw and segment of Raw when they bring in the 24/7 championship. I would imagine it's there for comedy relief or to cleanse the palate to the next segment. It's nothing more than a fancy transition to the next segment of Raw that actually matters, is all it's become. It's ran its course. It was funny for like the first few months of the absurdity in the places that it was changing hands, and we knew it would be absurd. It is beyond its shelf life. It's like a moldy loaf of bread that's been sitting there and is decaying. So,
well, you actually just gave an advertisement out to Hulu, because now I'm going to check into that. So all the people at Hulu, they need to look at advertising on my man's show, because I would have not even thought about that.
Yes, sir.
It is worth it to get rid of the 24. And then I'll get rid. I'm done. I won't mention it no more.
No. It is worth it. I mean, they're not a sponsor of the show, but I will say that, and I pay for the no ads too. Like, so I pay a few extra bucks to have no ads. Totally worth it, by the way. I know that.
Give my man a subscription. Give my man a subscription. At least, come on.
Let's start a hashtag Hulu sponsor WWE podcast, or something. Yeah.
Come on. I mean, we're not asking for a lot, man. A young kid at the house, man. Hey, $80, $100 a month, that helps.
Hey, hell yeah. No, everything. I mean, that's like half of a grocery trip, right? Like for me anyway. It's like, yeah. I mean,
small guy.
Yeah, no, I got like 4 mouths to feed, right? So it's
okay.
Okay. No, definitely. But nonetheless, so let's get back to SmackDown. Let's transition to SmackDown, because that's where obviously we just closed the show yesterday, and Brock Lesnar opens the show. Well, I shouldn't say he opens the show, but we got Brock Lesnar going crazy. We had Roman Reigns coming out. He calls out Brock, and because Brock put out a tweet, which Roman actually commented on, that Brock's tweeting now, and he laughed at that, which is actually kind of funny thinking about that. Brock Lesnar, who doesn't seem like a guy that even knows like what the internet is. Like, he seems like such a guy that's off the grid and not connected to any kind of social media and doesn't care about it. It was funny that Roman brought it up. But nonetheless, Brock did say he was going to come to the arena and beat Roman senseless the second that he got to the arena. And that's exactly what he did. He laid out Roman and the Usos. He threw around I guess the producer. He threw around a referee. And for some reason, there's like a group of wrestlers that are told to just come down to the ring and help. I never understand that, when there's like these people that are just on standby for Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce to just come out and help whenever things, we don't have actual security. We have the wrestlers. But nonetheless, they come out. He manhandles everybody. Adam Pearce suspends him indefinitely. Adam Pearce gets F5'd twice. And we have Brock Lesnar walking up the ramp, of which a great way to write him off, as we all knew he's not going to be there very often. So what'd you think?
Well, I absolutely thought that was great, but I have to reckon back to where I said the Paul Heyman writing. There was actually an incident in Memphis wrestling to where they bought ECW. I think WWE actually bought all of them, but they let Lawler go in and be the big guy in his territory. And he sent a lot of these promos up there that says, I'm going to come to the arena and beat your butt this week. And they played it in the arena. This is, now for listeners, I'm sorry, this is before Twitter, social media, actually before cell phones. Okay. Before cell phones. All right. So they play the thing in the arena. Paul Heyman standing there with, I think it was New Jack and a couple of guys, and boom, here comes Lawler and all his cronies out. They come jump on him. Lawler looks like a real badass, beats up everybody. I watched that, and it was almost identically written. And you had, at that time, I know everybody sees Lawler now and don't think that he was that good of a wrestler, but in his day, he was fantastic. But Brock, I could see Brock reading or looking at something like that going, oh, if he did that, wait till you see what I can do. And him just taking it with his own way of thinking and doing it his way. But it's almost identical to that. So I thought it was fantastic. I thought that Brock, they don't have the Undertaker anymore. Brock's about what you got left as far as an old guy that can keep coming back for years to come. They can keep feeding keep feeding. And, because Undertaker, it is what it is. They paid him however much money to introduce Cat Dog or whoever that is over in Saudi Arabia. But I mean, that's all he can do now. And he was fantastic. I love him. I don't want to see his image go down, but Brock is that guy now. I mean, think about it. You can feed that. You can bring him back for 4 or 5 matches for how many years do you think?
Brock Lesnar, I mean, that's the thing. Brock Lesnar he's a made man. He's the one that has the leverage against WWE, not the other way around. WWE needs Brock. Brock does not need WWE. And WWE, I can guarantee you, Vince despises that because he wants to be able to have all the leverage, of which he has over 99.9% of his assets, his talent. And when you have a guy like, say, John Cena, who I think doesn't need WWE, and it's the other way around, and Brock Lesnar, same thing. The Rock, rumored to come back. We'll see if that happens or not. But like those guys, they don't need WWE. And WWE is used to people wanting, that's the destination. Everybody wants to be in WWE. I'll do anything. I'd work for free. And that, unfortunately, is the scenario for almost every single person. And Brock Lesnar is the one who gets to dictate, no, yeah, I don't want to come back. I'm going to sit on my farm. And he's made his millions and millions and millions. Assumingly he hasn't blown it. I wouldn't think he does. I'm sure his bank account's doing just fine. Yeah.
When you say set his price, he can set his own price.
Oh yeah. No, I'm sure. Now let's be real though. I'm sure he can't say, a stupid amount of money, but he has way more say in the dollars. I just can't imagine the paycheck that WWE gave him to go to Saudi Arabia. A guy that doesn't like people, a guy that doesn't need to be there, a guy that is the biggest star just by showing up, to go there and to have Vince say, okay, Brock, how many zeros is it going to take? Right? I mean, I'm sure that he had quite a say and quite a payday on that match. I'm sure it was maybe 6-7 figures. I mean, just for that one trip, I would not be surprised if that was the case. Of course, we'll never know the real number, but I would be very confident in saying that it was higher than every other star on the roster to go to that show. A guy that hates traveling, hates people. I'm sure it was quite a payday for Brock. So that being said, back to the current product. I really enjoyed this opening segment, and it's a perfect way. It was just to me a case of a simple, easy to understand story here. It made sense. Brock Lesnar suspended, and it's also a nice way to have him go away for a while. We all know we're not going to see Brock on a weekly basis. He's going to be there in and out probably until WrestleMania now, maybe every couple of months or so. And Brock now gets to do what Brock wants to do. He's probably back on his farm already, behind his 12-foot fence.
Well, if he is, I'm not climbing that fence. That's for sure. And I will say this: you hit it right on the head there. Vince McMahon is not used to being able to not dictate, and maybe dictate's a bad word, but be able to have the upper hand on every negotiation he's in. And I've been around some great negotiators, and everybody wants the inside knowledge. They want the scoop. They want to have the upper hand when it comes to money. With Brock, yeah, man. I mean, he has all his money. He's got a beautiful wife. He's from everything I've seen, he looks very happy on his properties, not just one, but properties. Right. Yeah. So, you have to entice them somehow, but everybody knows that you need a little income coming in, and I think he was on the outside of wrestling before because he still had dreams of being a UFC guy. I think at this stage in his life, he's looking at what some of these guys, Undertaker just got paid a lot of money just so he wouldn't go nowhere. They don't even have anything for him to do. They just paid him a big contract for, I think, 15 years. And I'm not sure of any agreements or no money. I'm not saying, but it's a long-term deal. Pretty much, they're just going to do documentaries and stuff with him. But they don't want his brand to get out there. And Brock, I'm sure he's looking at things in the future of going, I can do this until I'm 50. I can keep he likes keeping himself in shape. Mm-hmm. He enjoys that stuff. And if you see any of these, he can still throw people around a octagon. Don't think he can't. And the only reason he got beat is because he bleeds. he has a bad bleeding problem, and I understand that completely. So if he wouldn't have bled so bad, he might have been able to fight through the one big match that he lost that kind of set him back to WWE. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I think Brock's making a great decision. I enjoyed the match. I do agree that he probably did not want to go, but if you look at last year's picture of him in Saudi Arabia, he looked fairly happy. And if you paid me enough money, and I was sitting on a nice, comfortable chair, and they gave him that amusement park for a day. Saudi Arabia just built an amusement park on an oil rig out there. Supposed to be one of the fanciest one. All the wrestlers got to go that wanted to, I guess, or the ones that took the photo ops did. But that's a pretty nice kind of gig to go. Make me $1 million or whatever, and go throw a guy around for a few minutes, sign some autographs, and have a bunch of rich people dote over me. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, really. I mean, and the thing is with Brock, most of his appearances don't involve him taking any bumps. Like seriously, he doesn't. He only has matches on pay-per-views, and usually big pay-per-views, and even then he's not exactly killing himself. He's a stiff worker. He's believable, but he is a guy that conserves his body as he should at this age. I mean, eventually age will even get to Brock, and he doesn't have as much mileage nearly as some of the other guys his age maybe have that have been more full-time performers. So he could easily go another. 5 years, I would say, is probably the end of it. I would think, at least in an in-ring capacity. At least that's my guess. Brock I don't think he wants to do this forever, and he's just realizing that, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to need to do this now, make my money, and sit on a pile of cash the rest of my life. And if I ever need some extra income, I mean, I can do advertising deals. I can do some kind of developmental, maybe training with WWE in terms of being a producer or being a trainer. Well, I mean, I don't know if he'd want to do that, but he doesn't have to always just be an in-ring performer to have an income stream. So, and plus who knows what he's doing with his money. I mean, I'm sure he's smart with it and making investments and doing things. So Brock is 100% fine, obviously financially.
Look at Goldberg.
Yeah. Yep.
Goldberg kept his money. He spent it right. He lives on a fancy hill up in California where the property value is outrageous. And he has a beautiful family living up there. He's still coming back because it's not bad to do, say, 6 weeks worth of work, make a couple mil.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. I once said that if Mike Tyson, I would let him hit me for $1 million at my age now. I would not. But to go up and be able to throw some kids around that are in awe of you and want to just sit there and listen to you, and they pay you $1 million, man. That's like on it, I don't know a PG way of putting that.
Yeah, I know it's hard to come up with the words. I know that's at least PG, yes, for sure. But I think I've got some 4-letter words that fit that. So all right, let's talk a little bit more about SmackDown here. And Drew McIntyre comes out and he says that he's ready to beat somebody up, essentially. He's ready he's on SmackDown. He's going to call anybody out, essentially do an open challenge of sorts. And Sami Zayn, with new entrance music, takes the call. He ends up eventually losing, of course, with Drew McIntyre hitting the Claymore. And Drew McIntyre is victorious on his very first night on SmackDown. Do you think that this is just kind of a placeholder for Drew, given that we all know it's eventually going to be him and Roman Reigns at some point? Like, where do you view Drew McIntyre right now, not just in this matchup, but kind of as a whole on SmackDown?
Well, first of all, when Zayn came out, he actually came out to, what was the gentleman's name? It was the start of his Scotty 2 Hotty. That back in the day, that was the actual start of his music. If you go back and listen to both of them, same beat, same everything. Same producer, had to be. Anyway, Drew is like, I'm looking at Drew is almost like when the airport's full and they've got to get all the jets to the airport there and get the passengers off. So they keep these jets out there ready to go to pull up. And that's what he is. He's ready to pull up. If there's an injury, bam, Drew's in the spot. And Drew's a great worker, man, and his story is fantastic. And I'm Scottish and English, and I love the whole storyline. Personally, myself, they need to. There's another thing with the character like Big E, not as bad as Big E, please, nowhere near as bad as Big E, but there's something there that maybe could be tweaked with him. I think something to make it a little more interesting. And I'm not a writer, and I'm not the prophet of wrestling to be able to do that, but that's just my opinion.
No, that's a good point to bring up. Like, I will say this, though, that the fans were much more receptive to him this week than they have been in many months. And I feel like that's a good thing because he's got a fresh start. He's not in the title picture right away. He was in it for way too long. The fans started to resent him for it, and now he's got a fresh start, and that's good. But you're right. There's something about Drew, I think, that's I don't know if it's stale or something missing or both. And it's not a lot. It's not like Drew is this completely unpolished performer. He's missing major areas. No, I mean, he has not had a bad match yet. This guy consistently puts on very good matches.
Absolutely.
He's got $1 million body. He's got the look. He's got the experience. Like you said, he's got the story of the, I was the chosen one. I left a boy and came back a man. A lot of truth in that. And
absolutely,
that's not the problem with Drew, but it does feel like maybe it is something that's missing or needs to evolve from Drew. He gets good enough promos. I have no problem with that. Good to excellent promos at times. But there is something missing, and I think he recognizes that because on Raw, as you may remember, he was telling these weird war stories that had nothing to do with anything. He was just trying new stuff, and I think he's smart enough to recognize that, hey, I need to do something different. I need to add a quirk to my story or to my character. And I think maybe that was an attempt to do that. I think it was a massive failure. It was bad. I was ranting about it for weeks. It was terrible. But I appreciate the effort, the recognition that I need to do something. Yeah, there is something. And I don't think it's like, oh, turn him heel. I think it's a bad move right now because of you have Roman Reigns. You don't want to turn him heel. I know that Drew as a heel is fun, but that's unfortunately you're not in a position to do that. I just think you're right. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it is.
Well, remember this. Your favorite wrestler, if I remember you correctly, is Steve Austin.
You got it.
All right. Well, I remember the Hollywood Blondes.
Yep. Brian Pillman.
I remember Stunning Steve. All right. I remember what was his WWA view name? Oh, what was
the
it?
Ringmaster.
The Ringmaster. There you go. Ted DiBiase's creation.
Yep.
Well, he got a hold of something. He got a hold of lightning in a bottle. He changed that one day when P.S. Michael Hayes gave him the mic and he said that 316 line. Wrestling changed as we know it today. And Drew, I'm not going to say he's anywhere in that level of changing wrestling or anything, but if he could come up with something, just something, if they could reach back in the archives, if they could figure out something new, I'm always open to something new. Bring me some new ideas, man, and make it work. And God bless, I'd love to talk to some younger, real, true wrestling fans. And I'd love to talk with them about that. But until then, go back in the archives, maybe find something. He's missing that one little sequence on that jacket to make it complete.
And I think he knows that. And he's a smart guy. I mean, I've listened to a lot of interviews he's done. He's not, it's not like I would say he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. I think he's a very sharp tool. He gets it. He understands the product very well. He's a veteran. He's been at the lowest of lows. We know that.
It.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think he knows that, but I don't think maybe it's him. It could be the limiting factor of creative and Vince maybe they are the ones that are capping or blocking something from moving on or evolving in Drew. I don't know. Or maybe they're too scared to touch the character that they may break it. They're like, oh, well, we got a really good thing going. I don't know if moving anything in this character would be a good idea. But the problem is that if you don't evolve, you're going to eventually die. As Jim Ross says, if you're not learning, you're dying. I mean, so I think that is exactly where they are with Drew. They're not in a dangerous place. I mean, if they keep him where he is, he would still be fine. But I don't think that if he went after a championship with this current character that fans would get fully behind him again. There does need to be that moment. The moment you're talking about with Stone Cold, the thing with that is that was an organic moment. That wasn't a planned moment. That wasn't in the script. It was something that Austin was told right before he went up about what Jake the Snake Roberts said about him, and he came up with it on the spot. So those are so rare, but they can happen. Those are very difficult to produce on a piece of paper, and I don't think it will come from a piece of paper. If it happens, it'll happen organically. The problem with today's product, though, is it's so micromanaged with everything that's said and done that it's hard to go off script, or if you do, you better be 100% sure that it's going to work. So I think that you have an environment that is hindering talent from going out on a limb and potentially doing something awesome because the environment that's been created is so micromanaged and it's looked down upon, and you get your hand slapped or fined if you go off script. So that, I think, is also the problem, is the current environment that is cultivated over in WWE.
I'm not technology advanced as most of your listeners are. I'm looking on my iPhone to try to find a drum compilation to go behind half your comments. I totally agree. They should be applauded. Look, there was once said the only person that could hold Michael Jordan under 20 points was Dean Smith. And that is Vince McMahon is Dean Smith. He is holding, I think, a lot of talent. He's winning. And they're just going with it. But if he would just give that guy a little nudge, or a little this or that, or a little maybe freedom. Freedom? I don't know. Now, talent, a lot of talent has great ideas and it doesn't work. I've seen it for years and years. Mm-hmm. But Drew is, like you said, is a very intelligent, he's a student of the game. And, a student of the game is going to have a better chance to hit the ball out of the park. So you got to give him a chance. Let him take a chance at swinging at that pitch when it goes over the plate. But yeah, anyway, Drew is great. I love him. I wish they would do a little bit more with him, but I think it's tied into, like you said, micromanaging. I hate micromanaging. I hate it, and I hate the 24/7 title. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to bring that up a couple more times. That's funny. Just like randomly throw that out that you hate the 24/7 title. Yes,
it's my PSA. It's my
PSA. That's just it. So, yeah, look, the last thing I'll say on Drew, and then we'll move on. I mean, I feel like this is a much larger conversation of just what WWE is, what they have done to their talent. And really, I think people, a lot of times people fear for their jobs. You look at what they've done over the summer and spring of letting massive guys and gals go that you never thought were ever going to go, like Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman and others that led the firings. You know, I think that has created a lot of fear in talent that, oh, yeah, well, now I'm definitely not going to go out on a limb. Look what they did to so-and-so, and this person and that person. So when you're living in fear of your job, I think you're not going to take any risks on top of creating just a stressful environment as it is. So unfortunately, I don't see a whole lot of people going out on a limb. But if you're going to do it, if you're going to allow a talent to do it and have that liberty, you're going to have a veteran, like you said, a student of the game, be able to do that. Give them a little bit more leeway and let them have a little bit more say in what they're going to do. To me, it should just be bullet points. Here's where we want to go, Drew. You fill in the other 80%. Just get us there. And AEW, I think, has the opposite problem, where they just let talent say whatever they want, which oftentimes, I shouldn't say oftentimes, sometimes does not work, right? Like WWE and AEW, in terms of their management of promos, are on opposite ends and have opposite problems. So, yeah.
But one thing I will have to ask you, and this is just a future question that's going to arise at a later date. So I want you to remember I asked you this. Which one of these WWE talents that they let go away are they going to regret?
Good question. I like that. Yeah, I will. That's a topic for another show. But I like
Absolutely.
that. You have created a totally new episode. Yes.
That's what I do.
You're here to create more work for us, Mark. Thank you. No, that's great. It is a really great topic and one that I can dive into. So let's move on though. Let's cover a little bit more of SmackDown and then we'll close things out. And honestly, I'm kind of scared to ask you this. I think I know the answer because I guarantee I feel the same way about it. Is Kofi Kingston holding a coronation for Xavier Woods as the King of the Ring? I'm just gonna toss it to you because I don't. Everybody knows what I'm going to say about this. So what do you think, Mark? Do you have anything you want to even add? Dare I ask?
That's the ruffling of paper that I was trying to throw at my expensive TV because I'm older now and I don't throw things at my TV anymore. But look, Kofi is talented. He has got the gift of gab. Creed. Or Xavier, whatever you want to call him, the King, you can call him, is great. This is set up for a feud. This is set up for, I hate you. I hate you. I'm going to do this to you. And it is set up. It's been set up for about 9 months. You can have a baby in 9 months, but you can't get rid of New Day. That's all I got to say.
Mm-hmm. I honestly don't know even. The thing is, I'll just say things that I've said.
I wasted my paper.
Yeah, no, and I don't want. No, I hear you, and I don't want to go off on the rant that everybody knows I'm going to go on about what I think about this, other than just this. And I said this right from the beginning that if Xavier Woods winning King of the Ring means that it's a start of a heel turn for him, cool. Like, I'm on board for that. Let's see what that looks like. Let's dissolve the New Day, make Xavier a heel. I think Xavier has a good singles career in front of him. He's a really good performer. I have nothing to take away from him on that. It's all character based, just like Big E, just like Kofi. It's all character based only. It's not about the man. It's not about in-ring. It's not about respect. Their characters just are intolerable to watch. But I think that if this is leading to a heel turn, yeah, sign me up. If it's not, and it's just supposed to be some kind of comedy segment of him pretending to be a king and calling us subjects, I have no interest in it. Like, none. If this is just going to be a joke every week, right? Like of him walking around with a scepter and a crown and a cape. So, that's all I'll say about that.
I don't need my bathroom break during the broadcast. I do it during the commercials.
Yeah.
I would rather not do it during the broadcast. I love WWE. So I would rather not do it, and that's my opinion.
Yep. No, I'd rather have them, right, like exactly. There shouldn't be a built-in bathroom break with talent on the screen. Like a commercial break should be, an actual commercial, but yeah. All right, let's move on. Mansoor defeats Mustafa Ali, or Mustafa. I'm going to say Mustafa because that's, to me, it sounds better, with a roll-up, and Mansoor beat Ali for the second straight night after winning their Crown Jewel class. I mean, so I don't have really a strong feeling on this because they haven't done a whole lot of character development. Mansoor gets the crowd reaction that he normally should get unless you're in Saudi Arabia, which is just kind of mildly like, yay, cool, it's Mansoor. How did you feel about it? I don't have a whole lot to say on this other than, it seems like they're starting to actually elevate Mansoor beyond maybe Mustafa Ali.
Well, I will have to say the Arabic promo that he did, I thought was great for the show. And I have several friends with that following, and they absolutely have started watching wrestling because. So I think it's an extremely genius idea on Vince on that end. They need to do something, of course, with the character. I mean, because they are both of these guys are really good. Not everybody is born into a 6'6" frame that can flip around and do backflips. So these guys are really good. And hey, you're going after demographics worldwide, and I'm I've been a businessman all my life, and you give people what they want. That's the reason sometimes I get a little mad at the WWE. I love them, but I get a little mad.
Yeah, understandably. And Mansoor fits the bill of trying to bring in a more diverse audience from that culture. That's fine. It's cool. I mean, you're a for-profit organization. That's what you should do. You should want to bring in fans that maybe see themselves in a particular star. That's exactly what that's the goal here. I don't care if it's transparently the goal and everybody sees it. I don't care, because if I'm the company, the dollars are what matter to me. And people say, oh, it's greedy. But if you didn't have dollars coming in, you wouldn't exist. So to me, man,
can't buy groceries.
No.
Can't buy groceries on dreams and hopes.
No, you can't. And wishes and rainbows, it's not going to happen. So Mansoor here, if they're going to elevate him, and it seems like that's where they're going, and they're not just going to have him pop up only at Crown Jewel and when he goes to Saudi Arabia, like, I'm cool with that. He's very fundamentally sound in the ring. I have no problem with him there. His promos, again, as you mentioned, if he's going to use the native tongue, cool. As long as he's able to translate to the English-speaking audience of, like, what are you talking about? Because I think it's important. Then I'm fine with it, you know? So, all right. Next up had Hit Row, the debuting Hit Row, defeat a couple of local enhancement talents very quickly. I mean, this was a very quick match. It was all about Hit Row. Now, admittedly, since we have somebody who does our NXT here, Zach Smith, he covers NXT very well. I don't watch NXT. That said, I know who Hit Row is. And I'm fine with their gimmick, but here's the thing. Their debut it felt so choreographed. Like, everybody had a line. Nothing felt like they were just speaking ad lib. Everybody had a cute little phrase, and they introduced themselves like they should. Like, I want to know who you are, but I feel like I needed a translator next to me, just because I didn't understand. Like, they were using a lot of euphemisms, and like, maybe I'm not culturally hip anymore at 36. Maybe I'm phased out of that. I'm not with the cool kids anymore. But I didn't really understand a lot of what they were saying, other than just we're this group that is into music. We're a badass group, and here are our names. I didn't really get much else out of that. They're okay in the ring from what I've seen. What did you take from Hit Row defeating the two local enhancement talents? I didn't get the names, but.
Okay, as far as I've seen them a few times on NXT, talented people. You nailed it on choreographed. And I hate to keep going back to stories, but I can tell you that my family gave a little bit of money to give to a young rap group years ago, and we had to do their debut party at a very fancy place here in Memphis, and we told them what to say. Well, my family told them what to say, and then they turned to me and said, "We can't be that. That ain't us." And all I could say is, just don't cuss. Don't scare nobody, and go out there and be you. Mm-hmm. And they did, and they sold quite a few. And I said, later date, I'll tell you who that is. But I can tell you this, if they would have just told them to go out there and be a little more natural, then that would have worked. But right now, man, just like their match, I'll have to wait.
I don't know what to think about Hit Row. I honestly don't know if they're heels or baby faces. I don't know, because they
now, and they're what they're trying to do is play both sides. Okay, now this is going to sound funny coming from a late 50s white guy in Memphis, Tennessee, but I know a lot more about rap. Unfortunately, probably than you may be up to. Because I've actually dealt with performers and stuff in the clubs. And so I will say this. I know what they're trying to do, and I can't explain it to you other than they're trying to be Switzerland in a hip-hop world. They're trying to play both sides, and whichever side's going to hit, I think they'll jump on it. But the way their entrance was, like you said, was so freaking choreographed. It was like coming out to a performance at an opera. You know, they come out and they do their little stints, and they do. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, just like their match, we'll wait.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not passing judgment yet. I mean, I haven't seen enough of their body of work to even make a judgment other than what I only saw for the 10 minutes they were on my screen. And honestly, the way that their entrance was, yeah, I mean, choreographed. I mean, honestly, they might as well have come out there and been holding the sheets that they were given to say, like, just hold the script in front of your hand, because that's essentially what you did.
Cue card.
Yeah. Honestly, like just teleprompter, just because that's what it felt like to me. And I believe that they are talented enough to not do that. And maybe Vince doesn't have the confidence in them because he hasn't seen enough of them to say, hey, just go out and say these things. And if you want to add anything else, go ahead. I very much doubt that. It was 100% controlled by the creative and Vince of nope, you're going to say this, and this.
Oh.
And yeah.
Well, can I add this one thing? It just came to me, and please excuse me for my interruption, but actually in AEW, they have two guys that do freestyle rap when they come to the ring, and they actually had a bad promo. Well, I mean, the promo was actually pretty funny, but it was very offensive to certain people, and they were suspended for a little while, and that's right after they debuted the Street Profits, I believe, if my time frame's right. So Vince may have been like, hey, we're not going to have this incident happen. We're not going to, you know what I mean? We're not going to give you carte blanche. We're not going to give you that because of that being so fresh. I mean, just a point on that.
It could be. Yeah. I mean, at the same time, though, AEW's culture is different than WWE's. Like where I mentioned how AEW is just much more freelance. You do what you want. You're in control of your characters. Say whatever you want. It's TV 14. WWE's environment is a whole different ballgame where it's not only micromanaged, but it's a PG environment. So any talent that would come in here and do something like that, I mean, you wouldn't be fined. You'd be fired and gone. I mean, you forget it.
But they did suspend him. They did suspend him without pay. So, I mean, I mean, I could look at Vince. Hey, as far as running a business, I just saw my competitor across the street slipping on a banana peel. I'm checking the sidewalk.
Yep. No, that's exactly right. I'm sure as much as Vince would say, we only pay attention to what we're doing and we don't watch the nonsense. That's nonsense. That's a bunch of well, I don't know. We're paying attention to what we're doing. We're not watching. That's a bunch of garbage. Like anybody that says that, they're saying that because they have to say it. But you bet your bottom dollar that they are watching, given all the publicity, especially as of late that they've gotten with all the big signings of CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and Ruby Soho, like all the talent that fans wanted to see in WWE. They are, I think, doing a great job over there. But anyway, let's continue on here. A couple more things on SmackDown. We had Happy Corbin defeat Shinsuke Nakamura after End of Days. Of course, we had Madcap Moss and Rick Boogs get briefly involved. This, to me, I'll just briefly say, look, Happy Corbin, I think he was better as the disheveled, poor mess. Like there was to me so much more left to do, and I was finding it so entertaining. I loved the poor version of Baron Corbin more than I do this version. To me, it's easy to get him back there if you ever wanted to by, someone bringing up the fact that there's felony tax evasion. He never paid taxes on all the winnings from Vegas or wherever he won. It's very easy. But this match, I think, made Shinsuke look like an idiot. And the reason is he was distracted by Rick Boogs and Madcap Moss having a disagreement on the outside. Like, why are you involving yourself in just two guys talking on the outside, which obviously allowed Baron Corbin to take advantage, hit End of Days, and Happy Corbin continues his winning streak. What'd you think?
Well, one thing I have to say, to have a Japanese wrestler come over here with his size and his ability and to steal him away from New Japan or whoever, I'm not sure who he was with before WWE, but he is a prize. He is a draw. He is a wonderful talent. The guitar player can hit a high note, has some biceps and some pecs, and can play guitar. I'm still out on him. As far as that happy guys outside there, look, this whole thing is really just like the character. It's kind of a joke. I don't like any of the way they're doing it. This laughing. Where is, I hate to bring it back, but it's to my old school. I want some believability. I want to know, hey, if Ted DiBiase came out and said he had $1 million, by the end of the show, I felt like he had $1 million and I hated him for it. This kid comes out, talented, big 6'8", I think, talented. He just looks like a goof. I mean, it's my opinion. But come on. I mean, some realistic storyline, maybe?
The problem with that is I think WWE has put realistic storylines below the entertainment or comedy segments that Vince, for some reason, elevates above all else at times. I mean, the problem is if Vince sees a little bit of comedy in a character, he will take that and make that their identity. He did that with Otis, among others, where if he sees you being funny and he laughs at your joke, that's the last thing I would do if I was a prospective talent for WWE and I had an interview with Vince. The last thing I would do is try to make him laugh, because if he's like, I would make him feel like
funny. That's funny.
Yeah. The last thing I'd want to do is want him to think that I'm a funny guy, because then guess what's going to happen when he tries to figure out what kind of character I should be? He's going to try to look at me as a comedy break or some kind of character that can't be taken seriously. Like, I mean, he's done it with so many things that shouldn't be funny, like Baron Corbin or Happy Corbin. Big E, the whole New Day gimmick is just bathed in his perception of comedy. And Vince McMahon has always, I think, had a really bad sense of humor. Like, I'm always of the belief that the part of his brain that controls the evolution of comedy and what is perceived as funny froze at the age of 14. Like, he, for some reason, just has not grown out of a very sophomoric sense of humor. And it shows very transparently on the shows.
Do you think he still thinks or wants to be that guy, that wrestler that he grew up watching?
Oh, yeah. Oh, very much so. Very, very much so. Vince, definitely. Yeah. I mean, those that don't know, Vince did want to be a performer. He did want to be a wrestler, and his dad talked him out of it. And I mean, the closest he got was the rivalry with Stone Cold. I mean, he did actually have a few matches, but he as Jim Ross would say,
you're in pan upside the head.
Yeah. Yeah, Bedpan McMahon. Yeah, that, and as Jim Ross would say, he's like a cow on ice. Like, that's Vince McMahon is not the most coordinated guy. One of the funniest moments. This is really off track, but as I'm thinking of it, you talk about funny moments. When Vince McMahon at the 2004 Royal Rumble or 2005 Royal Rumble, when John Cena and Batista accidentally eliminated each other at the exact same time, and Vince comes out and he tore both quads getting into the ring. I mean, he hit both of his legs, and when he tries to get up and his legs collapse from underneath him, it's one of the funniest moments. He has to sit there like a child and tell everybody, like, anybody that hasn't seen it, it wasn't supposed to be funny. That was hilarious when Vince tore both his quads. And I'm not speaking ill of like finding somebody's injuries funny, but yeah. So anyway,
but I mean, it takes a lot of machismo to walk out the way he does. That walk he created is I've done it for Halloween and almost won a costume contest. So,
Yes, Vince McMahon's power walk is iconic. I laugh at Vince's walk. It is funny as hell, because he is the boss, and that's probably how he feels about himself on the inside when he walks into a room. Yeah.
Don't you think that he walks down there with like, "You're damn right"?
Yep. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Like, that's what made Vince so convincing. That's who he was. That's Vince McMahon. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. The final segment on the show here saw that oh boy, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair exchanged their championships from Raw to SmackDown and SmackDown to Raw. Why this needed to be an event or the main event of the show, I don't understand, given they told us that the draft went into effect the day after the pay-per-view, which was October 22nd or whatever it was. And all of a sudden, they need to make Becky Lynch come to SmackDown. She doesn't belong there anymore. They could have done it on Twitter. They could have done it, whatever. They could have just had after the show, hey, here's my Raw Championship. Here, I want my SmackDown because now I'm a SmackDown employee. But they had to make this a big thing, a title exchange. And I didn't understand it. I'm big fans of Becky and Charlotte both, but it was weird that they had to make it a whole thing. Nonetheless, it was interrupted by Sasha Banks, who ended up knocking down Charlotte, and that's pretty much where it ended, was just kind of a brawl after Becky Lynch said, okay, I'm heading to Raw, see you later. So it looks like Charlotte and Sasha are the next Sasha's the next challenger for that SmackDown Women's Championship. What did you think about this segment?
Well, there again, we go back to Sasha being that good little kind of rat that kind of sneaks in and does the dirty work and then does the dance afterwards and gets to leave on the camera shot at the end of the commercial, which is great, I don't know if you had a chance to see the actual printout of how that was supposed to go down from the WWE, but it definitely did not go down to script. And Charlotte was definitely not on board with the way this was going down because she felt like she was going to appear weak in this situation, and she would not let her character appear that way, which, hey, she's fighting. I mean, that's her brand. So she is not going to let – and if some of the writing that I've seen, I have to add, I can understand why a veteran of the game would be very reluctant on how some writing is going towards their character. So I definitely understand that. And they kind of built it, the Sasha and the Charlotte ongoing rivalry. I can definitely see that. But I think they could have done a little bit more with the Becky side of it. But, maybe they gave us just enough. I mean, sometimes, having access to a full buffet isn't good. Sometimes you just need to have what you need to eat. And maybe they're going to feed us something a little bit later. I'm hoping. I'm trusting in the past.
Well, you got Survivor Series because Becky Lynch will more than likely be facing Charlotte Flair at Survivor Series, or maybe some kind of triple threat again. So we'll get that crossover between Raw and SmackDown that they tell us every year is the only time that SmackDown and Raw goes head to head, which is a bold-faced lie. And I can give a chapter and verse of how and why that is not true, and it's just a flat out lie. But you'll likely get your wish. I don't see a scenario in which Becky Lynch doesn't get involved for the next pay-per-view with these two women and Sasha being involved. Sasha is so talented. I mean, she knows she is, but unfortunately she has a bad habit of just disappearing for unknown reasons when moments matter, right? Like SummerSlam, she's gone. She disappears.
Absolutely.
Like just kind of randomly. And I don't honestly know what's going on. It could be personal. It could be COVID. It could be just flat out none of our business. It could be creative. It could be all three. I mean, I have no idea, but she does have a habit of just out of nowhere, just disappearing for months on end. And Sasha's back again. It's like, where'd she go? Nobody knows, but she's back. So I think that, whenever Sasha's there, she delivers. And I think that she is a future Hall of Famer, as all these women that we just discussed are. And anytime she has a match, she puts on an excellent performance. I think her and Bianca at WrestleMania this year put on maybe the match of the entire pay-per-view. They were so good together. And I'm looking forward to this, even though I know we're all people. I shouldn't say we. Many people are tired of Charlotte as champion. I think I like her as champion, honestly. But, Mark, did you have any closing statements on the current product? I got one more question for you that doesn't have to do with the product, but did you have anything else that you want to touch on?
Well, I will like to say that if my voice can reach out to anybody in the WWE creative team, let's give in-ring time a little more. I know you're dealing with TV. I know all the pressures of trying to put together. I did a small-time TV show. Nothing. I understand nothing like that. But you can work around it. And then, of course, my PSA, I hate the 24/7 title.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Yes. Perfect. That's a great. I love it. But okay, one last question for you, because a standard question that I got to know, because I don't want to say what is your only favorite moment. I think it's hard to ask that after all the wrestling you've watched in your years of wrestling consumption. But what are some of your favorite moments ever in wrestling? Could be past, present.
Wow.
Do you have some? Do you have? That's why I didn't want to narrow it down to one.
Okay.
Because that's really hard. How about some of the ones that just like you got really invested emotionally, or you just some of the moments you're like, man, this is why I am a wrestling fan. This is why I watch this product.
Well, I can say this to go back to when Stone Cold came out his first time as 316. That was just freaking awesome. And then me, of course, being around a lot of the wrestlers growing up, I kind of really got invested in a lot of their matches. I mean, I had guys like Sid Vicious back in the day, and of course Lawler and Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Jarrett, his father, and the Tupelo concessions match, like I mentioned before, and then I saw the first time a woman got her hair shaved. I mean, bald, shaved here. We had, I think in Memphis, we had 3 or 4 women that got their hair shaved, which was unheard of. And just seeing the involvement of how it's gotten from guys that weren't athletically compared to these guys today. These guys today are Adonises, man. They sleep, eat, and train, man. And back in the day, just from my business, they did not do that. Mm-hmm. They did not do that. So there's a lot of difference there. It's kind of like, it's kind of hard for me to have a favorite sports team because I have so many young athletes that I get involved with, and they go to different teams. So it's really hard. That's a hard question to ask. But as far as that goes, but I will say this one particular match, and that was the Fabulous Freebirds back in the day, going against the Von Erichs, was some of the best wrestling that you could see. Those guys out of the arenas in Texas would have to be driven to their hotels and change cars and then go to their actual hotel. That's how much they were over. It is what it is. I love today's wrestling. I love it to death. But there's nothing like the past. And I really enjoy your show. I really enjoy all this. And did you say you had one more question?
No, that was. I mean, I could go on and on about questions. With your wrestling history and knowledge, like that could be a separate show. I was just curious about your just some of the moments that you're just like, man, that's good stuff, right? Like that is like you're emotionally invested. It's what draws you to the product. And I was just curious as to some of those moments that did that. And you talk about talent being driven to hotels and having to change cars. Like that is when like heel heat was like real heel heat, right? Like you sometimes like probably feared for your life as you were really over as a heel. So
I have walked a wrestler from the ring and had so much stuff thrown on my head just trying to cover his head up. To get back there and yes, it was for real back then. But yeah, guys, really enjoy the show, man. Hope to get a chance to do this again. And all of the other people you have on your podcast are fantastic. I very, very much enjoyed this. And to all the guys out there, keep watching. Sit in front of a TV with your kid. We don't do enough with our kids anymore. Sit in front of a TV with your kid and have a good time. Take them to a live event. Man, you'd be amazed.
Yeah, that's true. And as much as we complain about the PG era and all the limitations it has, it is more family friendly, and they are creating that next generation of consumers. And it's a great time if you're a parent, depending on what age, of course. Mine are still a little too young, but if you're able to bring your kids to an event, yeah, it's a great place to not only watch the show and keep up with it, but bond with your kids over wrestling and make them a fan for life. So that's a great way to end it. Nice little PSA, and just to end it,
I hate the 24.
There you go. Perfect. Well, Mark, thanks so much. This was a blast, and make sure that keep tuning in and watch that Fox. Make sure he doesn't get in the house.
Hey, look, I've got to go let my dogs out right now, so I've got to go strap on a gun and cut all
I
the
was
lights
just
off.
gonna say, yeah, watch yourself, buddy. So, all right, man, you have a great night.
Have a great one, guys, and everybody out there, have a great night.
Thank you. Take care, Mark.